Hi, it's time for another video from my Dream Car News. Start dreaming. Enjoy. Here's a documentary from Ford, all about the highly successful Capri model which celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2019. Please watch this video right to the end, and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated, and if you click the bell you'll get to know as soon as new videos are published.
This is Ford Capri. As luxurious as a limousine. Powerful as a sports car.
Designed by the late American Philip T. Clark, the Ford Capri was Europe's unashamed answer to the Mustang. And according to Ford's own original advertising campaign, it was the car you always promised yourself. To celebrate the Capri's half-century, we're taking it on a road trip down memory lane. Picking it up from Ford of Europe's headquarters in Cologne, where it was originally built, then to the Eiffel Mountains where it was tested, and eventually to some of the circuits on which it raced with such huge success in the 1970s.
And the Drivers' Championship falling to Klemser in his Capri number 1 as he cruised down the finishing straight.
And the Capri I'm going to be driving to celebrate its 50th anniversary, well, it's a very special one indeed. Super rare one too. It's an RS 2600, the car that formed the basis of all those really famous, really successful racing Capris. And I have to say, I am thoroughly excited about the prospect of taking this car on a proper road trip to celebrate that anniversary. But before we go anywhere near the Eiffel Mountains or Spa or Zandvoort, well, I'm just going to take it for a little tootle in downtown Cologne, the spiritual home of the Capri.
This is where Ford brought the Capri throughout its life to test it long before it went on sale, to make sure that it was just right. There were many other test locations, of course, but the Eiffel Mountains and the Nürburgring itself, which nestles within them, well, these were probably the new Capri's biggest challenge. Ford's thinking was that if the car drove well here, then it would drive well anywhere.
And they were dead right, because although the Capri never represented the height of sophistication technically, it was one of those rare cars that somehow managed to over-deliver on the sum of its parts. Although the steering and suspension was based on far more humble Ford products like the Cortina and the Escort, it was way sharper than a Cortina, way sharper than an Escort. And that's because they fine-tuned it on roads just like these to be just that. Also, the arms out, bum down driving position was absolutely spot on back in the day, and even today it's perfect. It feels just right from behind the wheel, does the Capri. And the V6 engines, particularly the high compression 2.6 V6 engine of the RS 2600, they made it go like stink in 1972. And I tell you what, even in 2019, the RS 2600 still feels properly rapid.
Fair enough, 50 years later, the Capri does feel somewhat antiquated on the road, even in this rarest, most capable of forms, and with some 140 odd bhp to show for it. But the charm of the original car is still very much present in this car, even though it's 47 years old.
I'm falling in love with this car, completely falling in love with it.
The RS 2600 Capris had arguably their greatest racing success at the Spa 24 Hours, which they won outright twice on the trot in 1971 and 1972, much to the dismay of the works cars from Alfa and BMW.
The Capris didn't just win the Spa 24 Hours, they absolutely blitzed it, and it was a fearsome bit of racetrack. It was, at the time, the fastest road racing circuit pretty much in the world, certainly in Europe. I'm not doing much twirling of the steering wheel because it's not totally straight everywhere. There's just the odd slight bend, the master kink here, for example, which was just an awesome bit of track. And it just goes on and on and on, right out into the Ardennes forest. And then eventually it rejoins the Spa that we know today. 14.1 kilometres the old circuit at Spa was. And the Capris went round there in 1972 in just a whisker over 4 minutes. So they were quick, properly quick.
So after Spa, we pointed our Capri's long bonnet and its distinctive quartet of round headlights towards the coast of Holland and towards the amazing circuit of Zandvoort specifically. Why? Well, because on the 11th of August 1974, the Capri won one of its very last big European Touring Car Championship races there, with Jochen Mass and Ralf Stommelen fending off the competition from Porsche, Alfa and BMW in a car that by then was probably a bit beyond its best. So it seemed like a fitting place to go to and to drive at, and eventually to say goodbye to our 50-year-old friend.
But not before I've had a few laps in the old girl around this frankly brilliant old circuit at Zandvoort, just to push it a bit harder than you ever could do on the road. And we are not talking about dynamic perfection here, not by any stretch of the imagination. But you cannot help but smile when you when you ever go in this thing on a track like this. I'm going to miss this old car when we finish this shoot and put it away. I really am. But maybe just one more lap.
Then, to be honest, the Ford Capri was never about how fast you could go in it, even though it was a highly successful racing car and, as a road car, was pretty much king of the hill in its day. No, The Capri was the car that allowed the man in the street to live the everyday dream. It made you feel good about things when you were behind the wheel, and it still does that today. Ultimately, it was about the pure enjoyment of driving a car that was a little bit different, a little bit sexy, a little bit naughty even. And in its day, there really was nothing else quite like it. To date, my own family has owned 4 different Capris across all 3 different generations, and I am sure there will be more to come. So happy birthday, old girl. Here is to the next 50 years.
That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my Dream Car News now. Spread the word. Keep dreaming.